Welcome to Community Roundtable. I'm Nick Burns from the Salt Lake Community College Division of Communication and Performing Arts, and I'm your host as we explore topics of special interest and concern to the residents of the cities and the unincorporated areas of Salt Lake County. And these are topics that we feel are equally important to the general public throughout all the state of Utah. And today on Community Roundtable, the topic is education, specifically K through 12, but we'll also talk about higher education. This year, legislatively, K through 12 education saw an influx of money, but Utah is a state with an ever-increasing student base, and at the same time, Utah faces challenges to deliver a well-educated workforce and an engaged citizenry. Joining us today on the show, she has years of education experience from the PTA and the Logan Schools Foundation to the Special Education Department at Utah State University, from supervising student teachers to the State Board of Education. She is now Governor Herbert's Education Advisor. Tami Pyfer, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Lovely to talk with you for a half hour about this stuff. So, Governor Herbert's Education Advisor, does this make you like his lobbyist to the legislature, or tell me about your job?
We're involved in every type of education issue, whether it's public education, higher education, or colleges of applied technology. We do work on policy, work closely with the legislature, but also trying to bring those different levels of education together, from kindergarten and preschool all the way through college graduation. So, is that an easy sell, trying to get the high school people and the college people and the K through, to get everybody in the same room? It's not a difficult sell, but there's so much happening. There's a lot of alignment that needs to happen. We all are concerned about our own area of expertise, or our own, the things that we have purview over, for example, the State Board of Education. But it's so important to have that connection between public ed and higher ed. And those transition years, as you know, are critical for students, whether it's making sure they're prepared with math or writing classes to go to college, to make sure that our teachers are being prepared in college to teach those students in K through 12.
Yeah, I mean, there was an ACT study from a few years back that was something like half of all Utah high school grads aren't ready to do the college math and science that the very Utah jobs will need. And
that was a result that you'd see across the nation.
Yeah.
That was one of the main impetuses for the Common Core math standards. Every state was facing the same thing. We're just not cutting it. We need to do something differently. We need to raise the standard, because we've got that gap of about a year, sometimes a year and a half, between what our high school seniors are graduating with and what they're expected to do in college. And so that's when they started looking at improving those standards 4 or 5 years ago. And we are actually seeing some improvement, especially in those early grades, who are now being taught math a little bit differently, and they're being held to a higher standard. It's really starting to pay off.
And there was the move to have 4 years of high school math as well.
There was. And there was a resolution that passed in the legislature this past legislative session that recommends studying 4 years of math. There was another bill passed by Senator Ann Milner, which will allow high school students to have a variety of options in demonstrating their math competency. Maybe they take 3 years, but they pass an AccuPlacer test that puts them beyond what a 1050 class was. That's a way to demonstrate competency so that they are ready for college and not having to take a class that they actually are over-prepared for.
Does that seem like a good idea?
I think that it's a good idea. It will be interesting to see how it plays out. There's there's going to be a lot of coordination that needs to happen this first year to make sure that we're implementing it correctly.
Yeah, okay. You mentioned that those dreaded words, Common Core. So, supporter, detractor?
We support high standards, and that's what the Common Core standards are, high standards. And of course, you might be aware of the controversy surrounding the name Common Core and what the standards actually are. And so last year, the governor took a step back and said, let's look at all of those concerns. Let's divide them out. Are you worried about the standards themselves? Are they not high enough? Let's get our higher ed experts from Utah to take a Utah perspective on these standards, which they did, and in February released their report from our institutions of higher ed across the state, who said these standards are actually the highest standards we've had in math. They did offer some suggestions for improvement, which have been passed along to the State Board of Education, and those are being discussed now as part of their, they have kind of an annual, or 4, 5 to 7 year review process. Those are being put into that review process as we speak.
So it sounds like it's more a naming issue than a actual, it's not like we don't want students to learn.
No,
it's just
we've changed some of the standards. We had the Attorney General take a look at the adoption and assure that we are in control of the standards, in control of the curriculum, and all of those things. They panned out. We are in control of the curriculum. In fact, a lot of the problems that people have felt were associated with the Common Core standards were actually curriculum problems and how they are being implemented by local school boards, local schools, local school districts.
Interesting. And confusion then with the SAGE test and all of that as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just kind of all, it all rolls into one problem or experience. My kid's not doing well in school, or these are hard. So you kind of look for whatever it is that might be causing that problem, and it's very easy to get confused between standards and assessments and outcomes and curriculum and outcomes. And so we're doing our best. We're doing our best to wade through those issues and make sure that Utah is in control of our standards and we have the highest standards possible.
Okay. So does this make you want to be a teacher again and not be the governor's education advisor?
I love teachers, and my heart goes out to them all the time. God bless the teachers of Utah.
So how do you do that as Governor Herbert's advisor, interacting with the legislature and so on, when you've got to advocate for students and for teachers and for schools when there's so much controversy and there's, I mean, I hate to say it, but there's kind of a war on teachers, really.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that it can be seen as a war on teachers. I was looking at some things I'd written a couple of years ago for a favorite teacher that I had in high school. I had written a letter, and that was like 4 years ago. And in my little writing that I'd sent to him, there was a war on teachers then. I think it's just escalated, but it's easy to see a problem and say we've got to have somebody to blame. Things aren't happening, kids aren't performing, we've got to have someone to blame. I think that's just human nature, as we try to look for that person to blame, and unfortunately, that often falls upon the classroom teacher, which is very, very, it's easy, but it's unfortunate and it's not right. This week is Teacher Appreciation Week. And my thoughts always go back to the teachers that I had, and not only the teachers that I had growing up, but the teachers that my children had when they were students in high school and elementary school. And I get emotional when I think of the things that those teachers did for my children that I could never do. And I'm a teacher. I have a background, and yet they taught and provided experience and feedback and perspective that as a parent I could never do by myself. And so my heart goes out to them. They do excellent work given the constraints that we have in Utah with funding and classroom size and the politics swirling around nationally, people looking for a scapegoat. I think teachers are heroes, and I will continue to advocate for them in every way. When you advocate for a teacher, you're advocating for the students in that classroom. Research shows that of all the variables that you can control, we can't control for poverty, or when a kid comes to school, I can't make his parents help him with his homework, and I can't control for the situation in their home, but I can control for the teacher in the classroom. And so the research shows that of all those variables, the most important indicator for the success of a student is a teacher. And you're talking to a teacher, right? So advocating for teachers is advocating for students. So when we get back, let's talk more about the funding side of it and what happened in the legislature this year. So this is Community Roundtable. We'll be right back talking more with Tami Pyfer, Governor Herbert's education advisor. Keep it tuned. We are back on Community Roundtable. With us, Governor Herbert's education advisor, Tami Pyfer. So when we left off, we were talking about funding issues. This year was, I guess I would call it, a fairly stunning year for higher education, and the legislature came very close to what the governor asked for. Yes, the governor, his strategy has been to grow the economy so that we can have more money to put back into education, and that has been paying off. This year, the governor's budget proposed $503 million of new money for education, both public and higher education. And we received about $512 million, so it was more than we asked for. It was in a little bit different form than we asked for. One of the big pushes that we made was to increase the weighted pupil unit for K through 12, that's the WPU, to a 6.25% increase. That's the most flexible way, and that's the most flexible way to distribute the dollars to districts, because districts in very rural, small school districts have different needs than in larger urban districts like Granite or Salt Lake City.
So with the funding coming that way, one school district could say reduce class sizes, but another school district could put in a computer lab.
You've got a rural school that says our class sizes are 12. we have a very, very small school in a very remote area of the state, but we sure could use the computer lab. Exactly. So that was the intent of the emphasis on the WPU. We did get 4% increase in the WPU, but then we had other money that will come through a couple of other means, such as the
there was the property tax
equalization,
and the gas tax, right?
And the gas tax in the next year, hopefully, will take the pressure off of those monies from the general fund.
They'll stop robbing the general fund to stop the Peter Paul thing.
Right,
yes.
right. So we felt it was a very good year, and we appreciate the efforts that the legislature made to invest in education. It's an investment.
No, totally.
It's not just funding education, it's investing in education.
Well, you mentioned this focus on the economy, right? If you want to grow the economy, it seems like having educated Utahns is really the smart way to do that.
It's very symbiotic. You grow the economy so that you can grow education, and with better education, you have a better economy. You really have to have both pieces of that relationship, because when you start to falter in one area, it really affects the other.
So any specific monies towards what everyone seems to want to talk about, STEM, science and technology and engineering and math? There
was an engineering initiative in the higher ed budget that passed, and I think that was about $4.5 million, $4 to $5 million in engineering itself. And then we have the STEM Action Center, which looks at improving professional development for teachers in STEM. They look at different software programs that could help teach students a different way, math programs that might improve the skills of a student so that they can get on track for STEM degrees. And that has money in the STEM Action Center as well. Okay,
so you yourself, you're a singer? You have a lot of family members who are interested in music?
Our family loves music. That's kind of what we do.
So where do the arts fit in? I mean, you're talking to an arts guy. So where do the arts fit into this STEM?
The arts are the A that we keep talking about in STEM, making it STEAM. And that's a national movement that's picked up. It is critical. You can have really great technical skills, and yet it's that creative portion that I can be really smart and technical, but if I want to invent the next greatest whatever or write the next best program or whatever, you've got that creativity component that the arts really helps students develop those creative skills. And I mean, it's just, you can't have a rich, full life, in my opinion, without the arts.
So arts are going to serve better citizens, right? Create better citizens, but also, like you say, it pushes the creative side.
Yeah, I mean, I can argue that as much for the STEM as I can for just having a well-rounded life and a full life. But yeah, arts are big. They're big in our family. And
do you get listened to at the state level when you talk about the arts? Because it seems to me districts, we're going to kill gym and we're going to kill outside resources and we're going to kill the arts.
And we actually improved funding we have the Beverly Taylor Sorensen Arts Program, and we got a little bit of boost in that this year. We funded it at a little bit higher level this year. So. Cool. The governor is very, very supportive as well. A lot of people know that his family is very musical as well, and they are very supportive of the arts.
I'm encouraged. So to that jump from high school to college that we were mentioning, that in Utah, again, we have other issues at play here, but overall, folks who don't go straight to college tend to not complete. Folks who don't make it from first year of college to second year of college have a harder time completing. So, and we have issues here, I mean, students going on missions and all of that kind of thing, but are there specifics at play to help bridge that?
I think one of the more positive things that we have in Utah that continues to grow is is not the high school students going to college, but bringing those college classes into high school, so that they're taking concurrent enrollment, they're taking AP, they're taking these career technical education classes, so that by the time they graduate, they're halfway there. Or they may already have several certificates under their belt. So the more that you can do that and give students some success in their high school years, that really improves then the graduation rate and the bridge. It completes the bridge, that gap that they have, because it's like, hey, I'm halfway there, I've already started, I can finish now. So I think that's a real positive thing, and it's a strategy we should capitalize on.
So for the super high functioning students, we have the Century Scholarship, and so some of those students are doing great with concurrent enrollment, and you can actually leave high school with a 2-year degree.
Right.
But for these other students, what do you see as a way we could, because I would love to be able to do that, reach into the high school and give a certificate, say in audio or music, to a high school student who could then come here for maybe reduced tuition or something. I don't know how to make that happen.
Well, one of the things I've been really surprised at as I started working for the governor last year and getting out touring Salt Lake Community College was the amount of courses available for high school students, either through their own high school CTE program or across the way at the community college or at the applied technology college. There are a lot of courses available. There are a lot of certificates that are being underutilized because we don't know about them. Students don't know about them. We are not communicating that well, and that's one of the goals that the governor has with improving this website that we have, the utahfutures.org site. We want students to know about all of these options that are available for them. I think a lot of it is just communicating what we have and making those opportunities available to students and having parents understand what's available for those students.
So it's a marketing issue as much as anything.
I think somewhat, yes.
Wow.
Actually.
So more advisors. Okay. So these days, you know, I think most everybody's fairly clear that we need fewer workers to stamp out like car trunk lids, and we need more people as nurses. So we're moving from kind of a post-industrial world to a more service world, which brings me then to Salt Lake Community College, because here we are in part of this huge USHE system, but yet our mission is a little bit different.
Yep.
So if we move into higher ed, what do you see when you look at us here at the college?
One of the things that was interesting when I toured the campus last year was how responsive Salt Lake Community College is to the workforce. Very responsive. The number of people that you have on your boards that help advise the different courses and the different programs of study that will be good for your students and that will be good for the workplace. I'm always a little nervous when people talk about the pipeline. I'll be in meetings where employers will say to the school personnel, well, you need to give us more of these people. You need to train more of these people at the high school. We need the pipeline. And it makes me a little bit nervous because I want students to do what they want to do and have a rich, full life. But on the other hand, it's kind of hard to have an enjoyable, rich, full life if you don't have a job and you've been trained in something that no longer exists. So there's this very careful relationship that where I think we need both parties. We need to provide that input to school so that they're not training students for dead-end jobs, and yet we provide ample opportunities for students so that they can go into a variety of fields.
And they need to explore.
Yeah. So it's not so much a pipeline for me, it's opportunities.
Okay.
Let's make sure we have a lot of opportunities for students, and those opportunities end up in a place where they can be happy, successful, productive citizens.
Okay, well, we're going to take another break, but when we come back, let's talk about some of those opportunities at Salt Lake Community College, because I could talk about that all day. Keep it tuned on Community Roundtable. We'll be back with more with Governor Herbert's education advisor, Tami Pyfer. Keep it tuned. We are back on Community Roundtable with Tami Pyfer, Governor Herbert's education advisor. And when we left off, we were talking about this move towards a more service workforce and not kind of an industrial workforce. But it seems to me the technical component there are the people who can run the computers that make the cars. You don't need somebody running a radial drill anymore. You need somebody who can build the computer and take care of it. And to me, that's kind of where Salt Lake Community College has a mission that the rest of USHE doesn't fill.
Yeah, there are a lot of these certificates, 1-year, 2-year programs that can get a student into an area that they enjoy. It's a STEM career, but it may be a 2-year program where they leave making a very healthy salary in an area that they enjoy. And as I was speaking with some executives from a very large corporation that is coming to Utah, they were saying, if we can get them that 1 or 2 year certificate, we'll help pay for a 4-year degree if they want it. But they will be working for us, making a great salary along the way. And it's just, I think that things are changing, the way we look at a typical college experience. We talk about 1, 2, 4 or more, 1 year, 2 year, 4 years or more. And there are just so many options available. We need students and their parents to understand what those options are and not be stuck in this mindset that I'm going to graduate and I have to get this 4-year degree in this area and it's going to translate to this.
Okay, so it seems to me industry is looking for something different out of education these days.
And they're willing to give back in a different way than they have in the past. One of the students I visited at your campus last year was in the biology lab, and he was finishing a 2-year certificate. And I said, what are you going to do with this? He said, well, I'm going to be a neurosurgeon. This is just the first step because I want a better paying job so that when I work my way through school, I don't graduate with loads of debt. So this 2-year degree was just a step along the way, and then he planned on working and then going back for his 4-year, then his medical degree. It was very surprising to me that he had it all mapped out, but more people could be looking at education in this different way.
So if we talk about 1, 2, 4 or more, how's that all? How did those pieces all fit together in our Prosperity 2020 plan that the governor has?
Well, the governor, his plan to have 66% of the population have some type of a certificate or degree by 2020 is our 66 by 2020 goal.
So that's something post-high school?
Something post-high.
Okay.
Some type of a certificate or degree, a 1-year, 2-year, 4 or more. That all ties into this 66 by 2020, which came out of a study by Dr. Carnevale from Georgetown University that said in Utah in 2020, about 66% of the population is going to need some type of post-high training. And so that's where that goal came from. And it's a goal that we still are working toward. Prosperity 2020 did a 5-year education plan that said in order to get enough kids graduated from high school so that they can get that post-high training, then you need to have these goals. You need to have a 90% graduation rate, which means in 8th grade, and you need to have 80% proficiency in reading and math, which means in 3rd grade you need to have 90%. The different metrics that they've looked at, that all ties into this goal.
I mean, that goes back to where we started 20 minutes ago, that you have to put K through 12 and higher education all in one pot, not have separate entities. And
part of the frustration, I think, for the different education groups is the inconsistency of funding, which is based on the economy or the recession. This year we'll invest in public ed because higher ed got more money last year, so you're going to get more this. And next year higher ed will get it, but maybe not so much public ed. When we look at with the entire picture, it's like we all need this consistent, predictable level of funding so that we can start attaining these goals.
Thank you. Can I hold you to that higher ed will do well next legislative session?
I am going to do my part. You better believe it.
Oh, no, thank you. So in relation to the Prosperity 2020 plan, the governor also has, I think, a 10-year plan for education that looks at, K through 12 all the way through higher ed?
Right.
So let's talk about that.
So Prosperity 2020 is a business group, very supportive of education. I'm very grateful for the work that they do. They put together a very specific 5-year plan of how much money it would take to be invested in preschool, or how much money invested in all-day kindergarten or in math at these different grade levels in order to reach these goals of like a graduation rate at such and such, or the completion rate of college. We're taking a little bit broader look, so we're incorporating the work that they've done and pulling together the stakeholders that are involved in public education, higher education, and the colleges of applied technology, and then painting a broader stroke. It's not only what metrics do we want to have 90% or more graduation, but we want to make sure that we're expanding access for everyone into college, that we're serving these traditionally underserved students, that we're building community partnerships and leveraging community partnerships in a way that we haven't before. So that's the 10-year plan that we are just starting to build now.
Okay, so we've only got a couple minutes left. You mentioned access, so part of this has got to be tuition then.
Tuition's part of that access. It's also looking at students that are first-generation college students. How do we help them? Higher ed's been doing some really interesting things that are easy, that are inexpensive if not free, such as having every high school senior fill out a FAFSA form. These students that are traditionally underserved come from homes where English, again, may not be the primary language, and you ask them to fill out a FAFSA online, they could use some support. That's something easy that we can do. So things like that in helping students access the financial aid so that they can access the college.
Okay. In the final minute here, I know you're going to have a quick look at the college and have lunch with President Hufterlin today, but what's next for you?
Today or for the next year?
Either way.
We're gonna, I really want to get the community excited about what's happening in schools. We talk about what's broken all the time. We don't talk about what's working, and especially in Utah, what's working very, very well in education. Back to your marketing, sometimes it's marketing. I want to get people in the schools. I want to get policymakers in the schools. Legislators are already visiting schools. Get in there and see for yourself the miraculous things that are happening every day in public school classrooms and on university campuses across the state.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Come back again.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Community Roundtable. If you have a comment, maybe you have a question, maybe you have an idea for a future show, get in touch. Roundtable at SLCCTV.com. And don't forget, you can catch all our episodes archived at SLCCTV.com. I'm Nick Burns. Keep it tuned. SLCC TV.